Good morning, it's Barbara. This is a live and I have no idea how this is going to work because my neighbor next door just started and my other neighbor, I think they're quiet enough. But Pearl's out here with me, so she's going to start barking any minute. So this is going to be quick because I am so late today. Unbelievable. I did not want to get out of bed, but I'm feeling okay, even mentally. My hair's still wet. I'm rushing here because I'm late. I had a wonderful day yesterday. I did some of the things I said I was going to do. Thank you so much, ladies, who joined us for our Zoom craft together. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. Thank you so much. And thank you, Valerie, for being the hostess with the mostest. She's the best. We have picked the first Saturday of November for our next craft together session, Zoom craft together. So please put us on your calendar and join us if you can. I'm not sure what that date is because I forgot to look it up, but it's the first Saturday in November, and Valerie will put a link to it in the thread on Ravelry. And if you can't access for some reason Ravelry, then email me at flameandfiber@mindspring.com. It's at the end of my normal vlogs, and I will send you the link. Because we had tons. It was such a lovely conversation. It was really fun. It was really fun. The other thing that I said I was going to do yesterday that I did was I started going through my yarn because I couldn't find the yarn that went with my grandpa sweater, and I was sure I had another skein of it because I bought it specifically after I was done with that sweater so that I could add pockets because I realized I wanted pockets, and then I didn't do it. I mean, I literally knit that sweater 5 years ago in September. So that was a long time to not have a pocket when you wanted a pocket. So anyway, I found it yesterday and I put most of my yarn out on my guest bed, and I filmed myself doing that, thinking when I do a regular vlog or a podcast, I'll speed it up and you can see me putting my yarn out on the bed. But then as I was getting close to emptying most of my shelves, I started to feel really guilty and greedy because I have so much yarn. I have so much yarn. And I said on the Zoom that I had been in a no-buy year for 3 years, but that's not exactly true. At the beginning, it can't be true because at the beginning of COVID, I bought a couple sweater quantities of yarn during COVID. So what I said yesterday actually wasn't true, but I haven't bought very much. This year's been a no-buy year. I haven't bought any yarn this year, but I bought some last year because I bought a gorgeous sweaters quantity of yarn from Venta of Arctic Crafts yarn, and in the Scream colorway, Strike. And I bought a striped sweater's worth of yarn from the Crafty Toads. Those are two that I remember buying, and I'm sure both of those were during COVID lockdown. But in general, I haven't gotten very much yarn compared to what I was doing previously. I mean, I didn't go to any of the yarn events that I could have. I didn't attend any virtual yarn events. I didn't go to New Jersey Sheep and Wool. I'm not going to Rhinebeck in a couple weeks. So anyway, that was a preview. I found the yarn. Oh, but anyway, I started to get embarrassed about how much yarn I have because I still have so much yarn and it's so beautiful. So beautiful. But I found the skein of yarn and I knit pockets while I was Zooming. And here are the pockets. And I ran a load of, the thing about that sweater is, and I've told you this before, that I put it in the washer and I thought I put it on the hand wash cycle to wash that sweater, thinking that it would be okay. It is not super wash wool, and it pulled together, shrank a little bit, but it turns out it was 70% wool, and I don't have my glasses on. Somebody just made a long comment. I'll have to go back and find it later. I have no idea why I don't have my glasses on. I was running out here because it's so late. So anyway, I put together a load last night of socks and things, superwash things that could go in the washer on hand wash, and I threw these in, and they're even dry already. I have a ceiling fan in that room, and they did not fell at all. So I'm not sure what I want to do. I could either up it to gentle cycle, which may be what I did to the sweater. So anyway, so the sweater kind of shrunk a little bit and got a little bit felted. But it worked out great because I shrank a little bit since I made that too, and it fits me perfectly and I love it, but I really want pockets. So when I knitted this yesterday, I was thinking they were going to shrink, and so I made them a little too big. And I'm not sure why I did that, because I originally cast them onto this number of stitches that were in the pattern for the pocket, which in theory should work, but it just didn't look big enough to me. So I went back and I added more stitches, and so now I have this giant pocket, and I'm like putting it on me and thinking, that might be too big. But my thinking was that it was going to get smaller. But they didn't. They didn't get smaller. So now I have to decide if I'm going to put it in the washer again on the gentle cycle and see if I can get them smaller and more the texture of the sweater. Or am I just going to say, this is it, and frog these and just make them smaller and just put them on the sweater. So that's something I need to think about today and decide. I'm going to get the sweater out, lay it out on the bed, put the pockets on, see if I think the pockets actually are too big, and go from there. But I found it and I was really happy, and I'll be very excited to have pockets on that sweater, I have to tell you. Now the pattern only has one pocket. Did I just say that? Which is interesting. The shawl collar and the hem and the cuffs are all garter, so the pocket is garter as well, which makes it very easy to, and it only took me a couple of hours to knit these, so it would be no big deal to take them out and make them smaller and knit them again, because I have a feeling I just don't see myself like working really hard to shrink these anymore. Unless they look weird. If it looks weird on the sweater, then I guess I'm gonna get the sweater out and see. But meanwhile, they're not very shrunk, as you can tell. I want you to see the other side because the sun's on it, but it doesn't work like that. Anyway, so that's what I did yesterday. I talked to my friends on Zoom and knit and found my yarn and looked at my yarn. The other thing about throwing all my yarn on the bed, besides feeling guilty for having so much yarn, is that I fell back in love with a lot of different yarns that I hadn't, sort of been seeing for quite a while. My bins, my shelves got all, things got pushed in the back and they weren't very orderly. You might not remember from a podcast back in May, but they weren't very orderly. So it will be good to get them more orderly. And I have been knitting out of those cubes, so I might be able to get them back into the cubes a little more nice and a little better. So that will be good. And it's interesting because I found quite a few skeins of yarn that I didn't have any memory of. So my guess is that these were skeins that I had gotten in exchanges as gifts, but I exchanged yarn with people. And so the yarn, while I loved it and, talked about it on my podcast and things like that, it somehow didn't quite get into my deep memory because some of these were many years ago. And so going through my yarn was sort of a adventure in discovery, which was nice. And I have a lot of really beautiful yarn. And I left that room feeling very guilty because I have so much yarn, so much yarn. So I need to figure out a way to get some of my gorgeous yarn to some of you who, need gorgeous yarn to craft with, but don't have the ability to afford it, or no good place to buy it, or I don't know how to say that in a way that somebody out there needs some really beautiful yarn. And I have some really beautiful yarn that I am happy to share. So I did this before, and a couple people took me up on it, and I sent out some yarn. And so if you have the need for beautiful yarn, just for the soul loving value of knitting with beautiful yarn, and owning something made with beautiful yarn. This is the sweater that Megan made me. I would love to facilitate that. So please email me, flameandfiber@mindspring.com. If you have, then just tell me what colors you love and what it's mostly fingering. I have more fingering than anything, but what you love. And I would love to send you some. I felt so guilty. That bed is so full. But I also took, did I say this? I took a video of me doing it, and tomorrow or the next day when I do a regular video, I will put that in sped up, and you can see me, and I didn't even put it all out there. I found what I was looking for, and then I got like embarrassed. I was embarrassing myself. But oh, the yarn is so beautiful. And the other thing about what I did with my yarn is that I just sat there and cuddled my yarn, which made me feel really good. And I thought, well, this is, a good step towards getting my mojo back too, because, I cannot tell you how many skeins I cuddled and said, ooh, I should make something out of this. Not that I had any great inspiration on what to make. I think if I had a great inspiration on what to make, that would have helped. I mean, I might have just, balled it up right then and there. But I didn't. But I knit this on size 15 needles, and it didn't bother my hands. So I am going back to my original idea. I was thinking about doing a grandpa sweater out of that beautiful yarn I talked about, the mint green and the gray. But that yarn is about half the size of this yarn. This is 85 yards to 100 grams. That's how thick this yarn is. And so I will have to, even though that other yarn is pretty thick, I have to hold it double to get it as big as this. I think I have enough, but I don't even know what I would do if I didn't have enough. I would be Leslieing so crazy in that stash, because I don't have anything that's that same color or close or whatever, so this would be a patchwork sweater if I didn't have enough yarn, but it would still be lush and cozy. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, but knitting these on 15s comfortably made me go back, think that I shouldn't give up on that idea. But I was thinking of doing Jane Richmond pattern, and it was used a 17, and it was not a cardigan, so I would need to find the correct cord size, and that would not necessarily be that easy for me, apparently. So anyway, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. But the first thing I'm going to do is make a decision about my pockets. But I was so happy to find that yarn, and I'll be so happy when I have pockets. So they're going to be patch pockets, which is what they are in the pattern. They're patch pockets. In the pattern, you pick up the stitches along the bottom band of the sweater, and then you just knit it back and forth, and then stitch up the sides to make a pocket. So it's essentially a patch pocket in the pattern. So this will work perfectly well when I get the right size pocket. And so I'll need to make that decision today. Well, I don't need to make it today, but I might make it today, because I can just re-knit these smaller if that's what I decide to do. So that's what's happening. Other than that, I read yesterday, and Oh, and I got a wonderful messenger call from my granddaughter, Sammy. And Sammy and I had a long talk. I'm the worst. I am the worst grandmother. We had a long talk, and it was lovely, lovely for her to call me, and I enjoyed it so much. And this morning I woke up and said to Dennis, I was talking to Sammy last night. You were listening, right? He said, yeah, I was listening. It was a nice conversation. I said, yeah. I told her I was going to give her something for Christmas, a dress and something else. I think maybe a painting. Can you remember what I said I was going to do? He's like, no. So I texted Allison and confessed that I'm like the worst, because Allison was sitting there with her, so she listened to the whole conversation. And said that I couldn't remember what else I was giving Sammy for Christmas besides a dress. I thought it might be a painting, and she said, oh yes, it's a painting, it's a painting. She asked you if you can make a rainbow, and it all came back to me. She asked me if I could paint a rainbow, and she wanted grass and flowers and a rainbow on her picture. I'm like, I am the worst. But Dennis couldn't remember either. But I thought, oh, that's perfect, because then I don't even have to think about what am I going to paint her that she would like. She told me what she wanted, so I'm painting her a picture, and then she'll have a dress for Christmas. But I couldn't remember. I woke up this morning, I could not remember. So if I can't remember what my granddaughter asked me to paint her last night, no wonder I can't remember where I got some of the yarn that I've had for years and years. Anyway, so yesterday was so nice, between talking to Sammy and the wonderful conversations on our Zoom crafting. It was so great. And I sat here and did it, and so it is actually quite lovely right now. But it's 69 when I walked out the door. It's probably 70 now, because it's been getting warmer. And yesterday when I was out here, it was in the 50s. So we have different weather today. There's a front coming through, and apparently it's supposed to get really cloudy and maybe rainy this afternoon. But the funny thing is that the rainy day is going to be warmer than the bright, clear days we've been having the last couple days. So right now it's feeling warm, but it's sunny and beautiful. The girls have just come out with me, and we will probably be hearing from Pearl soon. So I don't have any big plans for today. I still haven't made those crackers I said I was going to make, and I might do that today, because the panier's in the fridge and needs to be either frozen or processed. And I'm going to make a decision about my pockets and finish the book that I was reading. Those are the three things that I know I'm going to do, and I'm going to walk my dogs. And this is my last day off. I wonder if I started my days off on Sunday or Monday. But I suspect that nobody's going to be able to tell the difference between my day off and tomorrow when I don't have the day off, because, of course, every day's a day off, really. I'm just trying to give myself a mental break and not have too many expectations. But I could continue with that. Oh, today is Sunday, so I have my crafting with Christy tonight. And I'll make my decision. Somebody's got a loud car. I want everybody to know I'm driving past you, unless that's like some kind of giant truck. Can you hear that? It's behind me, so that's on our road down by the creek. Wow, that's crazy. I don't remember what I was saying. And I don't have my glasses on, so I couldn't even ask you, because I wouldn't see your answer. Oh well. So I'll make my decision about the pockets before I craft with Christy tonight, and maybe I'll just reknit. I probably am going to end up reknitting the pockets smaller and not doing any more to try to figure out how to get them to shrink to match the sweater, because I mean that sweater shrank 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And I don't know. Whatever. So that's my plan. Okay, well, since we're so noisy around here, that truck, it must be a truck. Because if it were a motorcycle or something, it would have been long gone. So that's that. No big news is today other than I had a lovely day, and thank you so much everyone who came to the Zoom. And mark your calendars for the first Saturday in November. We'll Zoom again. I'm hoping the weather's nice enough for me to sit out on my deck then too, but we shall see. And yeah. So that's it for me. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope all is good with you and you're healthy and happy. And those of you in the UK, I hope you have enough petrol and food. Dennis read an article that the government said get your Christmas dinner in the freezer now because they're expecting food shortages in the UK. I'm like, oh my gosh. People have been talking about no turkey for Christmas. Do you guys have turkeys at Christmas? Is that a typical Christmas dinner? Turkey is typical here too, although because of Thanksgiving, we would have had a big turkey dinner only a month earlier. So some people do other things. My Christmas dinner is always spare ribs, which on Christmas Eve, which is my mother tells me is a Norwegian tradition. Benta can tell me if that's true or not, or those others of you in Norway. My mother's first generation Norwegian American, and anyway, they always celebrate. We always opened our presents on Christmas Eve and had a big dinner on Christmas Eve, and it was always spare ribs. I love spare ribs, so that works out great. And I'm not a big turkey fan, so that also works out great. So I did tell Allison when I was talking to Sammy last night that we have booked the dogs for their Thanksgiving stay, and with the plan that we are going to drive to Florida and visit them for Thanksgiving. And I said, so what about Thanksgiving Day? Am I going to have to cook Thanksgiving dinner? And she's like, no, Nana, don't worry. We'll figure something out. I said, okay. I don't really want to cook Thanksgiving dinner. Allison doesn't even like turkey. I don't think the girls will eat turkey. So, you know. And I don't love turkey. So we'll figure something out. Anyway. Plans. Making plans. But in 2 weeks, I'm going to North Carolina. So that's my big sooner plan. The dogs are booked for that too. So that'll be fun. Planning food for that too. But because those people eat so much junk and so, you know, cookies galore, chips, everything. Every carb you could imagine is going to be in that house sitting on the countertop every time I walk by it. So I have to have a plan for myself or it's going to be a bad carb week for me, since I have no self-control. So I need to plan very carefully for that. Psych myself up. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please take good care of yourselves. Please, please, please. Thank you to everybody who stopped in. And I'm sorry I couldn't read your things because I have no idea why I don't have my glasses, but I don't. So cheers to you all. Thank you so much. Please, please, please stay safe.